Well, everyone, happy Lag BaOmer. Usually I invite people to, as we are beginning, to create together a blessing for healing. So don't want to miss the opportunity to invite people right now. And Jed, if you can allow the chat to be open for a bit. Usually we close it when we begin. I want to invite people to put the name or names of anyone in your life who is in need of healing, and you can include yourself in that. And it's healing broadly construed, physical, emotional, mental healing. And we can take a moment as people add the names in the chat box, or just whisper those names aloud or hold those folks in your heart. And as we turn to our practice today, I want to invite you to send some healing energy and prayers towards those who are in need of healing. May you, if you are among those, may the ones that you're holding in your heart be blessed with Refuat HaNefesh, healing of spirit, Refuat HaGuf, healing of their bodies, Refuat Shlema, complete healing for them, for all who suffer from illness of any kind. And we can bring all those folks into our practice today. So our theme this week, this is a week-long series for those who are joining us today. If you missed yesterday, I'll briefly recap and we'll move back hopefully into the space where we were yesterday. It's a week-long practice of gratitude, in Hebrew, Hodaya. And the title of our week is Dayenu, the practice of enough. We're in the week of Hod, the week of splendor, week 5 of the 7 weeks between Passover and Shavuot. And as I mentioned yesterday, this is a week in which, if we imagine the journey of those 7 weeks as a journey down a river or a body of water, this week we have come into a stretch of the river or stretch of water which is completely still and unmoving. We are just present to what is. We're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything. There's no wind. There's no movement. There is stillness. This is a week of cultivating stillness and simply being with things and ourselves as they are, just as they are. And so I want to invite us to begin, if you were with us yesterday, to come back to that place of stillness on the water. And I will share with you as we do so a reading, but I want to invite you all at this time, if you're comfortable doing so, to close your eyes, to find a comfortable position in your chair. You might want to just get up and readjust and maybe roll your shoulders back. Take a few deep breaths into your chest and really let yourself land for your practice. Really arrive. And if you haven't done so already, just shut off all the other distractions that are present for you right now, all the other tugs on your attention right now. And as I mentioned, you can just let your eyelids close, you can soften your gaze, or you can turn your awareness inward, away from the screen, away from your surroundings, bringing the attention inward rather than outward. And we're coming back to a seat on a boat, maybe a canoe, any kind of boat, just sitting on a body of water that is perfectly still. There's no breeze. Imagine the temperature's just right, very comfortable. And this body of water, this lake or pond, is so still that the surface is like glass, like a mirror. And as we, in our mind's eye, envision and experience ourselves as sitting in a place of stillness, being supported and upheld, we want to see if we can absorb some of that stillness in our inner being as well. This is some instruction from Dinty Moore, the Accidental Buddhist, in a book on mindfulness, enlightenment, and sitting still. Here's some instructions for us as we sit still. The mind is like a bowl of water sloshing back and forth, spilling out the sides. He writes, most of us have lives like earthquakes, so the water is in constant motion. Add to this the fact that we're always grabbing at the water, struggling to make sense of our brain messages. Yet all the grabbing just further churns the liquid. Two things have to happen for the bowl of water to come to rest. First, you have to turn off the faucet, stop all that input. Second, you have to quit grabbing. And what happens finally if you're successful in stopping the input and stopping the grabbing is that the water inside the mind settles. And the still water of the mind then becomes a mirror in which you can find yourself. So let's begin today just by coming to that place of stillness, letting the vibrations of our day subside, receiving the ease, the quiet, letting the sloshing of that bowl of water in our mind come to a rest so that the stillness inside mirrors and reflects the stillness around us. As if we're all sitting together on that same lake. Letting ourselves be still. Just sit for another minute or two in this place of stillness and see if we can take it a little bit further by allowing that stillness to permeate our bodies. See if it can bring some ease and some release into any place in your body that feels tense and constricted. Helps to remember to keep breathing. Let the breath itself bring that ease and peacefulness to your body. And if you'd like, you can, if your eyes are closed, you can just stay with that. No need to open your eyes, no need to focus your gaze. And share a little bit, share a poem and share a prayer or two before we go back into silence. Today is day 33, Lamed Gimel of the Omer, Lag BaOmer. In the Kabbalistic framework, today is Hod sheba hod, gratitude upon gratitude, stillness, enhancing stillness. I invite you to see if you can experience some gratitude for the gift of stillness, the gift of not needing to do anything, not needing to prove anything, not needing to justify anything, that it's enough simply to be. It's enough just to breathe. This is the practice of Dayenu. Enoughness. This is the poet James Cruz on gratitude. Gratitude passes through you like the clouds of mood, like rain turning to sleet, or gray skies breaking into blue. It is only gratefulness that stays, holding your trembling hand beneath the hospital sheet as you count each breath, or jumping up and down when you hear good news. Gratefulness is the faithful companion we have always been seeking. This feeling of fullness that follows us everywhere we go. Less like a shadow trailing the body, more like a glimmer held in the heart that promises never to leave. Just sitting with some of those words. Gratefulness stays. It holds our trembling hands. It jumps up and down upon hearing good news. Gratitude is a faithful companion. It is a feeling of fullness. It follows us everywhere. It's even more than the shadow trailing the body. It's more like a glimmer held in the heart that promises never to leave. You're invited just to treasure the stillness of this moment, stillness in your body, stillness in your soul. Allowing noise and vibration and distraction just to dissipate, fade away. Our mantra or focus phrase for this practice is Dayenu. This is enough. This breath is enough. This moment is enough. See if you can feel that glimmer of gratitude in your heart. A glimmer that is always present, like a pilot light. A refuge you can always return to when the mind drifts away and worry creeps in. Coming back to gratitude for what is true right now. Again, if your eyes are closed, you can stay with that. I'm going to share my screen for a moment, sharing two pieces of liturgy, Jewish prayer practice from the morning, usually said upon awakening or in the early part of the morning service. Modeh ani lefanecha, melech or ruach, chai v'kayam, shehechazarta bi nishmati b'chemla, rabba emunatecha. I'm grateful before you. I'm grateful before you, God, for restoring my soul with mercy. Great is your faithfulness. Inviting you to just say the first two words, modeh or moda ani. Modeh ani. Thank you for restoring my neshama, my soul. And then there's a piece of liturgy, a piece of Jewish prayer that reminds us that the soul is pure. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tahorahi. My God, the soul that you have placed within me is tahora, it's pure. Ata barata, created it. Tsar yitzarta, you formed it. Ata nefachta bi, you breathed it into me. You create it, you form it, you breathe it into me. Atam shamra b'kirbi, you preserve it, protect it within me. And it continues at the end, modeh ani lefanecha, Adonai Elohai ribon kol hamasim. I am grateful for this neshama, for this soul that is capable of being satisfied, of feeling full, of being grateful, of being free from worry, free from the need to justify my existence, to prove my worth. Part of me that knows that it is sufficient just to be and just to breathe. So as we sit now, inviting you to practice acceptance of and gratitude for self. Inviting you to see if you can be with, accept, acknowledge, and be grateful for your body just as it is right now. Noting any judgment about it, any critique of it, and just setting that aside, setting aside the judgment. Gratitude for our physical selves. Can you allow yourself to accept and experience gratitude for the body that houses your soul right now? Can you accept, can you experience gratitude for your life just as it is right now? Gratitude for what you have, not what you lack, just as it is right now. If it's helpful to offer a hand to yourself, offer yourself some kindness, placing that over your heart space, your chest. It's a physical way of accepting, receiving, being thankful for who you are in your uniqueness in this world, and remembering that there is not a single other human being on this planet who is like you. Can you be grateful for your precious uniqueness in creation? And then we're going to shift our focus from ourselves out to someone else. And I'll share another very short poem by the same poet, James Cruz, called The Hug. The other night at the bookstore, everyone masked, keeping their distance, I ran into a friend and I asked if I could give her a hug. And something relaxed in her face, her whole body, as we leaned in and held each other closer a while. She was wearing the slightly oversized bright red cardigan that once belonged to her grandfather, which she usually keeps in the closet to remember him. I pressed my face into the fabric, breathing in, grateful to be touched and to touch again. No surprise then, as I learned recently, that when we're forming in the womb, the first signs of our arms are these tiny buds that grow directly from the heart, branching out. The first signs of our arms are these tiny buds that grow directly from the heart, branching out. As my friend and I parted ways that night, I felt a blooming in my chest, like a tulip easing open the hinges of its petals on the first warm morning of a spring I thought might never come. So now I'm inviting you to call to your mind's eye someone in your life who is dear to you. A partner, a friend, a child, parent, an uncle, a cousin. An imperfect person who might occasionally be annoying or problematic in some way. Or who might be afflicted by self-doubt, by low self-esteem, or who tries too hard to earn approval. And we want to extend gratitude, hodaya, to them, that we might see them and they may see themselves as enough just as they are. As you picture them, you might whisper, Moda ani, I'm grateful for who you are. I accept you for who you are. You are enough. And if it's helpful, as you visualize this person in your mind, to imagine those arms that hug emerging from your own chest, like a tulip that is opening its petals. Offering that hug to this person. Feeling the connection, experiencing gratitude for who they are and who they are in your life. So let's set by offering some gratitude to these people who are dear to us in our lives. saying thank you to this person. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being who you are in this world. Thank you for being part of my family. Thank you for being you. As we're sitting, see as you breathe, maybe if you can expand the rib cage a little bit more, just feeling a little bit more full in the chest. Lacking nothing. Filled by a sense of connection to one's own soul and to the souls of others sitting here now. To all the souls in this world. All flowing from the same source. And for the last bit of our sit together, a final poem by James Cruz, Finding the Islands. Look for islands of brief reprieve, open spaces in an otherwise crowded day where you can come ashore for a while, find safe harbor. Hear again the warble of hidden birds and isolate each interwoven strand of song, even if you can't name the small bodies who sing them. Click the airplane icon on your phone, which means no messages will fly to you with their bad news landing in the branches of your mind. Let your thoughts climb to the sky like the vines of morning glory, and see the glint of a red pebble in the yard, still stippled with dew. The first wild strawberry of the season, which you pluck and eat right there in knee-high weeds. A tiny feast of an instant before the rest of the day's worries try to haul you back out to the stormy seas. So let's sit for a few more minutes together in the stillness of this unmoving, undisturbed body of water. Letting ourselves still ourselves inside and around us, and just resting in stillness for a few more minutes. As we bring our sit to a close, I invite you to receive 5 deep breaths into your belly and really filling it and spanning your rib cage and your chest. Just bringing a little bit more stillness into our bodies and our spirits, and gratitude for this island that we are sharing. And may our practice be for the sake of bringing more clarity and wisdom, more love, more peace, more justice into our lives and into our world. When you're ready, if your eyes have been closed, you can let them open and offer some gratitude to everyone who's here for creating this space together and time. And as we do each day, we offer an opportunity for those of you who are grieving a loss, or observing a yard site, or if it's your custom to join in the mourner's Kaddish, to do so. And you can put the name or names of anyone you're honoring today in the chat box now, or after we recite Kaddish. And I want to thank Jet for sharing the words on the screen. If you're not reciting Kaddish, if you would kindly stay present and offer your compassionate support for those who are. I do want to mention, I intended yesterday and forgot to mention, but I want to mention the passing of Rabbi Jonathan Omerman, one of the founding teachers for the Institute for True Spirituality, a teacher for myself and for many, many, many others who passed away, and going to hold him in our hearts as well. His funeral was on Sunday. So if you're reciting Kaddish, I invite you to join me by rising in body or in spirit, and you can unmute at this time. Yitgadal, Yitgash,
Shemei Rabbi,
Amen.
Yamlich Malchite, V'checho, V'yumecho, V'yed Ho'e Israel,
Agala,
Hagala,
Vizman
Uv'zman
Kariv,
Karev,
Miru, Amen.
Amen.
Yehesh,
Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach,
Shalom,
Olam Aleinu Maya,
Barach,
Yitzhak,
V'yishtabach,
Yitzhak,
V'yitabchar,
Yitzhak,
V'yitramam,
V'yirich in this day.
Yitadar,
Yitador,
V'yitaled,
V'yitaleh, V'yitalal,
V'yitabarichu.
V'yifrishabrichu.
Elam,
Ela
Kol
mi
Birchata,
birkata
B'shirata,
v'shirata,
Tushbechata,
tushbechata
B'nechemata,
v'nechemata amiran.
Amiran, Ba'aman, Miru,
Hey
Amen.
shlama rabba min shemaya.
Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, Chaim Aleinu
Yim
V'Yalchut
aleinu v'yalchut
Yisrael,
Yisrael v'yirmei.
V'Yimru,
V'osei
Amen.
shalom
Oseh
b'mirmam,
Shalom
v'yaseh
B'Mermav,
shalom.
Uyas
Aleinu v'yalchut Yisrael. V'yoshvei tevel
O
v'yimru.
Yoshvei Tevel,
Amen.
V'Yimru, Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. As always, thanks to Jet Bachman for holding our space, and many thanks to Donna Hurwitz for sponsoring our practice today, honoring Rabbi Miriam Margolius for her beautiful teaching a while back, just before Passover, on a soulful seat at the Seder. Donna, we're really grateful for that sponsorship. I'm happy to stay on for a few minutes and respond to questions in the chat if you have. Feel free just to share reflections on your experience if you like, and you can also just use this time if you'd like to, if it's useful for you, just to stay with your practice, to keep sitting on the stillness of our lake. And I want to thank Jet, Jet, if you could put the put the link to the handout. You'll see when you take a look at the link that I didn't actually read all the poems that are there. These are all poems today by a wonderful contemporary poet and anthologizer, if that's a word, of poetry, James Cruz, who I really highly recommend. Has a couple of wonderful anthologies and is just a beautiful poet in his own right. I used two of the three. Maybe I'll share one more. I'll share you the ones that the one I did not share, which is actually what almost could be, let's see, it almost could be a key poem for our daily set, This Given Day. It's a beautiful morning practice to go along with Moda or Modani. This given day, these 24 hours were granted to you, offered as a gift the moment you opened heavy eyes to the blue light of dawn, rinsing every shadow from the room. True, not all parts of today will feel worthy of gratitude. Perhaps you'll still stare in a mirror with a stab of guilt for the body that does not look back. Let that pass. The universe made you for joy, too. Shaped your mouth to smile, even at your own confusion. Sunlight now dances on the walls with leaf shadows, and the table and chairs are both sacred and plain. And this new day, like a restless golden retriever, nuzzles at your feet, begging you to go out and breathe in the world. He's very good, James Cruz. Really like him. Really like him. Let's see. Just going to do a little advertisement for him. He has this wonderful anthology called How to Love the World, Poems of Gratitude and Hope. Not sure, maybe some of those that I read today are here. And he has another one as well on kindness that is beautiful. Beautiful resource, keep by the bedside. Okay, Lori, beyond it is, I am enough. Oops. Do you have any suggestions for Kabbalah or mantra for this week of Hod? Lori, I'm not sure if I'm going to get to it this week or not, but one of the thoughts I had this, there are so many wonderful sources on gratitude and Jewish tradition, one of which is a pretty challenging one, but sometimes it comes to my mind and it's helpful, which is in the Talmud, there is a character named Nahum Ish Gamzu. And Gamzu is understood as, he has this name Gamzu because he had the habit of saying Gamzu Latova, which means this too is for the good. So even if bad things would befall him, even tragic things, he would meet them with an attitude of suspending judgment, as if to say, yeah, this looks bad, but ultimately everything will play out for the good. It's a little bit like the Zen tale that I've read, maybe you've read too, of, something, of these series of terrible things that befall a farmer, and everyone says, each time something terrible happens, says to him, oh, this is so terrible, this is so terrible. And his response is, perhaps. It's sort of watching the story unfold. And I think there's another, so this is one more facet of practicing gratitude, or in this week of Hod, I think, is of letting go of judgment, and challenging, especially in the face of, real tragedy, because we don't want to accept or, excuse or justify tragedy. But it builds into our response. For example, I know people, almost every day when we recite Kaddish, pretty much every day, we can call to mind all the innocent lives lost to gun violence in this country, in America. It's every day, hundreds every day. So, for example, we don't want to accept. I wouldn't want to justify or accept that. So this Gamzu Latova attitude, without accepting, without justifying, but always striving to see a bigger picture and to act with the bigger picture in mind. Sometimes I see that, for example, with activists who do not get so caught up in a tragedy that they become paralyzed by it, but are able to keep their eye on a bigger picture and of a different future than what's in the present. To me, that would be a practice as well, because I know that I can, when I hear bad news, I can become so absorbed in the badness of that news that I become paralyzed and lose sight of the bigger picture. So that Gamzu Latova is to say, this is terrible, and there is more to the story to write. There's a bigger picture. That's how I understand that story. So that's an aspiration for me, not to get lost in this particular moment. I'm going to scroll to see. Thanks, Jet, for finding the book and putting the link in. That's great. Here's I'm putting in the chat the link to the playlist that we have compiled for Hodaya, for gratitude, which has that beautiful song by Rabbi Yitzhak Husbands Hankin, based on, I think it's Psalm 34, pretty sure. Limnot Yamenu Kain Hoda. Teach us to number our days that we may attain, usually it's translated, attain a heart of wisdom, that we may open our heart. He translates it as that, teach us to treasure each day that we may open our hearts to your wisdom. It's a beautiful melody, and actually maybe if it's okay with everyone, we can sit for another few minutes and I'll play that song for us. It's about 3 minutes long, and we can close out with that before we say goodbye for today. So give me a minute to cue that up, and then let's absorb that. Let's just sit together for the last few minutes, last 4 minutes.
Limnot yameinu, limnot yameinu, limnot yameinu kein hoda v'navi levav chochma, limnot yameinu kein hoda v'navi levav chochma. Teach us to treasure each day. Teach us to treasure each day, that we may open our hearts to your wisdom. Teach us to treasure each day, that we may open our hearts to your wisdom, O treasure each day. Treasure each day. Teach us to treasure each day. Treasure each day. Teach us to treasure each day. Linnot yameinu, linnot yameinu, linnot yameinu kein hoda v'navi levav chokhma. Linnot yameinu kein hoda v'navi levav chokhma. Teach us to treasure each day. Teach us to treasure each day, that we may open our hearts to your wisdom. Oh, teach us to treasure each day, that we may open our hearts to your wisdom. Oh, teach us to treasure each day. Treasure each day. Teach us to treasure each day. Treasure each day. Teach us to treasure each day. The Navi, levav chokhma, levav chokhma, the Navi, levav chokhma. Treasure each day. Teach us to treasure.
All right, everyone, wonderful to be with you as always, and look forward to seeing you back on the lake tomorrow at our usual time. It's nice to have this daily appointment to sit out there with you, and look forward to that. Thanks so much, Jet. Thanks to each of you for being here, and have a beautiful rest of your Lag BaOmer, and see hopefully